Hello, and welcome to this edition of the Angels and Destiny show. Why is this show called this, you may ask? So I'll tell you. The accept meaning of angel is messenger, and the accept meaning of destiny is to make firm establish. So my guest and I bring you messages to establish what you need to know in the present. And of course, I do like working with angels and the calmness they bring. Now, in a moment, I'll introduce you to my wonderful guest, Liv Wheeler. But before that, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching the show live at a later date, as it means a lot to both Liv and I for you to join with us and connect with like minded people. Now, if you've never met me before, then my name is Ray, and I'm the founder of Radiant Angel Energy. And I'm a guide who helps you remember your divine presence so that you can heal your past, find your purpose, create your future to expand your consciousness, understand your spiritual path, get clarity on your next steps to take, and take charge of your destiny so that you can feel your purpose in this lifetime. Now, each episode of this show covers various themes of your journey. I mean, a guide meditation or oracle card reading with the wisdom of my wonderful guests, like today's guest, Liv Wheeler, about the magical practice of offerings. Now, Liv is an initiated, contemplable voice diviner, ritual facilitator, and multidimensional spiritual teacher who has dedicated her life to reweaving the human experience with the sacred. For the past 19 years, Liv has traveled the world connecting people to the vast ecologies of spirit that exist in all communities. As a voice for the little people of the earth, she has reignited people's awareness of the spirit realm across cultures and landscapes. Liv's work is powerful and heart centered, offering the deepest respect for self and spirit. Live reconnects individuals and groups of people with a very real experience of the spiritual world that is as complex and intricate as the one we experience in our daily physical lives. Liv embodies the initiated feminine role of priestess and spiritual leader and teacher. Her work is genuine, heartfelt, courageous, and uncompromising, teaching all who experience the sacred with her to approach it in the utmost respect and to approach the ancestors and relatives in these realms of spirit with the reverence and dignity they deserve. Now, ultimately, Liv is dedicated to restoring what is human to humanity in the embodiment of the heart, dignity, courage, and humbleness befitting a person that understands that we are here to serve what is sacred, feeding the unseen so that in turn may continue to feed life. Now, guided by the contemplative, and again, I knew I'd pronounced it wrong as I got there.
You got it.
Liv has completed several international tours, guiding
It's
people in the
beautiful.
Thank you. In the process of healing and spiritual remembering, she published her first book, With the Love of the Ancients, My Spiritual Journey of Remembering in 2018. And in 2019, she also created the Contemplative Medicine School, Earth's Amulet. From the well springs of this school came an Earth's Amulet certification program, a heart-centered shamanic healing school, priestess training, and a school for mystics of the Aquarian age, and she's currently working on a book in honor of the Cosmic Mother. So, with all that going on, and without further delay, hello, Liv, and welcome to the Angels and Destiny show. How are you today?
All right. Thank you so much. I'm doing amazing. I love to connect with you. So thank you for having me.
Ah, you are more than welcome. Especially as I know you're in Thailand at the moment. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
before we get into this fascinating conversation, I want to remind everyone that not only can you share this video, but you can also ask questions, leave comments and thoughts, as both Liv and I want to be part of this conversation, and we will reply. So please don't be shy. So, Liv, why don't you tell us more about your journey and about how the alchemical process of facilitating ritual and ceremony can create that incredible healing for our souls when we approach our ancestors with the foods that they love?
Mhm. Um, yeah, I'm happy to. And let me feel into my heart about where I can dive into my journey. I guess for some reason the place where I feel called to speak about my journey is I guess when I first became aware of the little voice in my heart about um, I think when I was first aware of a calling in the first place, and when I was living in the States, in a particular state, and I was called to travel to the other side of the country. And I had this calling in my heart, and I didn't know why. And that was around age 19. And I just didn't exactly understand what it was. I just knew that that voice continued to be there until I responded to it maybe 2 years later. And when I responded to it, I noticed that that began a whole, maybe like a cascade of events that eventually, well, I guess not eventually, responding to that calling continued to be one more step, one more step, one more step into my genuine purpose. And so when I was reflecting on it, my path earlier, I realized it's really been guided. You could say guided by spirit. I could also say guided by my heart, and maybe they're one and the same, you know. So we have these little voices inside of our heart, and that little voice, when I recognized that there was wisdom in honoring it and trusting it, that little voice has guided me really well. And it takes me to some really maybe unconventional, maybe seems bizarre at times, places. It definitely doesn't seem to make sense, yet it feels really right. And this is that little voice is also with me currently in Thailand, you know? So I felt called to approach it from that little voice inside of my heart, and that little voice, trusting in that, and knowing that it's not something to suppress, yet there's a lot of wisdom in honoring and trusting in that. And so that little voice has opened up great big adventures. Great big,
Cool. Yeah. Well, can you share some of those adventures with us?
yeah. Great big adventures. Let's see, what adventure? Well, yeah, they eventually they eventually brought me to Africa. So I guess you could say, well, I guess people that feel can, you know, later I'll talk about the website and that, and so maybe they'll go to the website if they feel called to understand some of the more details. And there's a book as well. But um, yeah, one of the that little voice in my heart led me into my path of healing and into my eventually, I guess you could say, shamanic path, even though at the time I didn't understand what does that even mean. Yet that was a clear message from the universe. Um, and so that voice led me to my longtime teacher, who's now on the other side, where we continue to. I guess I continue to be a student in a way, just now he's on the other side. And so working with Maladoma for, excuse me, uh, 8 years, yeah, that little voice led me to his doorstep in a way. I mean, he was training a group of people. I wasn't the only one at the at the doorstep, but it was like the signs were undeniable and as unconventional once again as it seemed like. What was I doing at this, person's house, learning about shamanism? On the face, it looked like West African shamanism, or more specifically from Burkina Faso in West Africa, and more specifically the Dagra tribe of Burkina Faso in West Africa. So nothing on the exterior seemed to make sense about it, and my heart and my soul knew I was at the right place. And then when I, connected with him spiritually and sat with him in divination, then that was confirmed from his side as well, that he was aware that I would be coming there. And somehow, when I read his book and I read about the Kuntumle, what you mentioned, the little people of Burkina Faso and West Africa, such similar to the Fae, the gnomes, the elves, the, so on and so forth all around the earth. So yeah, when I read his book, for some reason that particular aspect of it, when I read about the Kuntumle, somehow that especially jumped out to me, and my response, I even said it out loud. I knew they were real, and I knew they were real, and just somehow I knew they were real, and somehow I believe that was them guiding me there, probably. And so in this, I started this 3 year training with him, which we ended up going to Burkina Faso, West Africa, as part of the training, the shamanic training. And then after the end of that 3 year training, then he asked me to continue to support, the next group. And so that that whole kind of twisty, windy journey led me to Burkina Faso, West Africa, which was not some place that I thought I would be headed when I listened to that voice from Florida to California, from Florida to San Francisco. That's where I thought I was going, with San Francisco, not Burkina Faso, West Africa.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it? It's sort of like where
Yeah.
whatever we think we're going to be doing or where we're going, when we actually listen to the to those nudges, those voices, and take notice of all those like coincidences that take
Right.
place, we get led to completely different places, which turn out to be even more amazing than what we thought we were going to be doing.
Totally. Yeah, yeah. And so that, yeah, and that was surprising to me also when I arrived there for the first time, because I had what people speak about, the topic of awakening is increasingly more and more common, I notice, and I do believe we are in the Great Awakening. But at that time, my first time in Burkina Faso, I think I was maybe I was 29, maybe I was 30 or 31. I don't recall. It was somewhere around there. But my first time touching that soil, I don't know exactly. Somehow it ignited something deep, ancient, something ignited in my being, which I would say, if I've experienced an awakening in my lifetime, that was maybe the start of it. I think it happens in waves. It happens not just once, but many times. But that was a very, very, like, a deep and ancient kind of awakening that happened for me, that was full of grief and ecstasy simultaneously, and nothing made sense. And yet my soul knew that energy somehow. So yeah, that was a very, very profound experience, and in some ways initiated the deepening of my relations with the or I became more conscious of my connection with the little people, basically, or the wee folk. and and then they continued to take me on journeys around the earth. Apparently they like to go on journeys.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? They say, come on, we have some other friends for you to meet.
Oh, I love it. So where did so did you go to Thailand from Africa or did you go elsewhere first?
Oh yeah, Thailand. This is like a. I've just been here at present. I've just only been here for maybe 3 weeks, but from oh gosh, yeah, I've traveled a lot in the meantime over those years. And a lot of places. Sometimes, let's say, I would be at. This is kind of funny. I'm just remembering this. I was I was at a yoga training once in Rishikesh, and at that point I had just gotten married, and I was trying to figure out exactly how all of this functioned together, because I was initiated and active Kentumle voice diviner, and not exactly sure how that fit into that particular marriage. I mean, I've only been married once, but I didn't know exactly how that all worked together. So so that somehow led us to Rishikesh, to yoga teacher training. I think we were trying to figure out how that all worked together. And so I was, in a sense, I was kind of trying to in a sense, I was kind of, I think I was trying to keep it hidden a little bit at that time. I wasn't exactly sure how it all flowed together. There was no handbook that I received. And so I was at this this Ayurvedic doctor. I was at this Ayurvedic doctor at the clinic, just to, receive some healing, and to have my, I don't know, like, dosha read or something like that. And so he was asking different questions about about my profession, and I was trying to kind of like keep everything quiet, and I think I said he I don't know, he must have been really intuitive, and so he was asking questions, and I think I just said something, tried to kind of like keep it very watered down, and I was like, I work with the ancestors, and he he leaned in and he was like, what? I believe in this, and he was like, what? He wanted to hear more.
Wonderful.
He wanted to hear more, and then that just led to all of a sudden the next thing I knew, he was wanting to have a reading or a divination, and so that led to me, and I then needed to explain to him about the candomblé and the little people, and they were so open and welcoming and honoring, and so that led to being at the clinic before it opened and going into like the full divination there in Rishikesh, and it was really beautiful. It was so beautiful because in that environment they have such like honoring and reverence towards the I guess the mystical and towards the these different ways and practices, but that even when I was trying to kind of like keep it hidden a little bit or a lot, then after that, next thing I know, he was calling and saying, "Ah, there's these people I want you to say." So it's happened sometimes in these very, um, and maybe that spirit behind it all the time anyway. So even when we try to kind of keep it
Mm.
like sequestered or something like that, I imagine you've experienced those things also. Then spirit they find a way to like bring it out of the closet, bring it out of the closet, bring it out of the closet.
Oh yes, yeah. And I think that's the beauty when you start on that spiritual path, or you open up, or you recognize that you're on that path. That um, you will always be guided to certain place, and if you don't follow through with certain things, then they'll find a way of actually exposing that and
Yeah.
making it happen. So in the end, you kind of like have to go, okay, I surrender. I ain't gonna fight this anymore.
Totally, totally, totally. Yeah. So it made for some really colorful adventures, and I've loved it. I've loved it too. And it's shown me also. It's shown me how universal um, spirit really is. I mean, it's so universal. And so I've sat with the Kantame, I've sat with the little people and places, and in Cambodia and India and Mongolia, in Peru, and I mean in a lot of different places throughout the states, and in many different environments, and with the person, no matter, even before the translation happens, it's beautiful because when I sit with, let's say, if I sat with other shamans or like people of medicine in these different places, they understand the energy, before the translation happens, and they understand it in a way that's been very um, uh, it's been, what's a word for that? It's felt very comforting. It's felt very comforting to experience that. Whereas in the culture where I was raised, it's kind of a strange thing still, for maybe not so much more lately, because it seems people are opening up much more. I've noticed that in the past few years to different kinds of spirit languages. Um, but before that, then yeah, it was just kind of felt a little bit like a culture shock. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
what
no.
is this?
Yeah, no, like yeah, I can answer that. It is sort of like now a lot more people are open to different spiritual practices, ideas, thoughts,
Yeah.
energies coming in than they were, say, maybe 10 years ago. Which I think is absolutely amazing, because all these new ideas that may have been kept hidden are now coming out. So you're learning more about um, different things that you wouldn't have heard of once before. Which is creating this beautiful, I think, eclectic
Hmm.
mix of different things that, in a way, although different, all weave together in
Right.
in a certain way. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that you say that too, that they all weave together too, even though they seem like disparate, or these different kinds of, this is over here and this is over here and this is over here. And sometimes I think in there probably is artwork like this, maybe visionary artwork like this, but sometimes I think I long to see that, where all of those kind of spiritual dimensions and the ways that they are all together, they really are all together. I feel that, as you say, this like woven way. And speaking of that too, they have told me many times also, is, I mean, they're part of our DNA. Many of the little people, they're in our DNA. So I could say, at the soul level, okay, so I'm connected with the Kantame likely from uh, different dimension, and then also, from my blood ancestry, also like the Fae are very connect. I know that's part of my DNA, and when I'm traveling into different, like maybe especially when I was in Wales and Scotland in particular places, I'll really feel that part of my DNA. I'm like, oh, I feel the Fae,
Yeah.
And when I'm in Wales, I'm like this. I not so many places, even though my ancestry is in the different places, but those two places in particular, when I was in Wales and um, Scotland, it was lighting up my DNA a lot, and so I would feel the stronger like connection with the Fae, and but they have shown me that, and I do believe that a lot of humans are, we could say, discovering this, remembering this, or if people believe this or not, of course, it's everybody's free to believe whatever they wish to believe. But I do believe that this is a remembering I've been going through. I believe it's true that whatever the human being is this braided like the DNA, braided from the various galactic, or angelic, the various galactic angelic, maybe helping
Yeah.
us get into this ascension experience. But they have shown that, and it's the braids too. They talk a lot about braids.
Okay, that's interesting. That what I do is help people remember their divine presence, because we all have this
Mm.
in us. It's not something new. It's just remembering.
Just remembering, yeah. And I feel like that is ultimately, you know I feel that it is, there's a quality of, um, I experience that, or I've experienced that, as deeply satisfying, like a deep a satisfying energy. There's something that before that I was longing, and I was chasing, and I was hungering for, and maybe I was trying to fill it with material. And there's a kind of like satiating energy that I experience from communing with the spiritual dimensions, that I do believe that where it's where it's just simply part of the human design, just as you're communicating about. I feel like I'm relating to it in a maybe a slightly different perspective, but same, just a different perspective. But that is something that I've experienced in my journey, that I feel so grateful for, that I do experience a deep satisfaction. I know it's kind of a funny way to say it, where before there was a deep longing. And so when I first started, when I connected with the Cantamble in this lifetime, when I would sit with diviners before I knew that this was going to wake up in my own being, a lot of times I would cry. I would just cry. I would grieve, because I didn't realize it was something I was missing so much, you know? And I believe this is it. So when we commune with the angels, or remember that, angelic aspect of our soul, I feel like it really um, can be so, well, calming. Also, like what you said too, the angels can have such a calming presence.
Yeah, exactly. And again, galactic beings can have that calming presence. The Fae
Mm.
can have that. The little people can have that. And I like that you said, the different perspective, because that is what I think is so brilliant. We need all these different perspectives, because they will resonate with different people. So so people that might not connect with the with the angels, with the angelic realms, might not listen to me, but but they might take on board what you say, because they're more connected to little people. And in the end, it all goes back to the same, to that oneness with
Yeah.
everything. So I love that you said about the perspective, and that is the beauty of all these different perspectives out there.
Yeah.
Just connect to so many different people to help them remember in whichever way is possible for them. So I love that you mentioned that. So where else do what else do you do? What else do no what else do you do? Where else do you go? Where have you been? What are you doing? How can people do this?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I felt called before we started recording. I felt called. They asked me to bring these rattles and bells next to me for the purpose of. It's interesting you said that. So like, where else have I gone? There's different places where I've journeyed, and there's, for some reason, they were asking me to speak also too about the ways that the shift that can happen. Also, there's different ways that we can shift, and sometimes we shift through going into meditation, and we can connect with the other realms. It's funny when I said shift, the lighting shifted. I just noticed.
Yeah.
It shifted the lighting, but the shift people talk about the shift from third dimension to fifth dimension, and we can access, we can go into these different dimensional spaces also. And somehow they're really talking to me as well before about, somehow I was feeling myself even deeply inspired about the feminine way, or the female way, that we're doing this, and we're remembering this, and we're reclaiming this as well. Somehow that was really sparked in my heart earlier. And well, I mean, I have dedicated my path in some ways also to the honoring of the feminine, but there's some way that it feels like they're talking about this kind of remembering for the feminine also of our particular ways that we connect with the spiritual dimensions. In some ways, it can be a very um, watery, fluid way. Somehow, it can also be very musical, entering in through song and in that kind of way. And so, for example, when I went to Burkina Faso in West Africa, and when I went through my initiation. So these bells here, these bells connect to the Kentam layer. When I shake the rattle and ring the bells, then it's kind of like opens up that gate or that doorway, and then they start like coming in and speaking in their
Yeah.
tongue. Um, but that is where some people feel really kind of like trapped in the physical dimension, and trapped in the ways of the mundane, or the kind of like density and everything that's happening. When we can remember or recall that we have the capacity, we have that the connection, the access with all of our guides and guardians. This is a way, and just like as you said, there are so many ways. And it's something I love about the my experience of the little people too. They encourage the unique way with every soul, that it's not one way. It is naturally that we can experience this feminine or masculine or neutral, or however anybody can. But this is some way that they show me also with the feminine, that somehow they talk about that way that we're kind of naturally artistic, and that we can approach our spiritual path, and allow it to be creative. That it can be creative. And I was musing on, like, the deeper I've connected with the little people too, it's such creative energy. And it's like the result of it is that I feel like painting or coloring or doing something like that. When in my younger years, before realizing that I was connected with them, I didn't realize that my creative impulse was coming also from them. That is a way that we connect with the other world. And so there are these ways, that you can like go into this kind of rhythmic space, or this, musical space, and through song. And we were talking about offerings, because this is something that, well, I believe it was originally, I was trying to remember, it was Malidoma the first person where I'd heard about offerings? I think I'd heard about it before Malidoma. And when I was working with Malidoma, that was definitely like a distinct part of the practices in connecting with the waters, nature, any of the beings. Really, it was like always to approach with an offering. And as I as I deepened in my own practice, and as I kind of like went deeper into my own authentic experience with the spirit world, with the other world, I felt, yes, definitely offerings feel to me so right. And also the way that feels right for me is to do it just with a pure heart, just like approaching it, not really asking for anything. It's just approaching with a heart of generosity. And I can say, the other day I was with my friend, and we went into nature. We were called into nature, into the mountains here. And the Cantomblé, the little people, they had said, bring these offerings to the ancestors of the land here. It's sweet. Bring
Yeah,
these
she
offerings.
doesn't actually normally come up when I'm recording a show.
That was
So
pretty
you're
awesome.
privileged. Yeah.
That was pretty awesome. And so they were saying, I love that. I feel blessed by your cat. That's so sweet. Um, and they were saying, oh, okay, they were saying, bring these offerings to the ancestors of the land. In this instance, it was like rice, tea, this artisanal, they would say like artisanal wine, some wine that's created from the local people here. And so we didn't know what that was, and then we were led there, and these teas that were particular, to this area. and and so when we went there, then I would just get, I would get guided in a very kind of just feminine, natural, intuitive way, just like that little voice. And we were on the scooter. Oh, okay, make this offering to the tree. There was this, they said handsome tree. I was like, handsome? They said handsome. Okay, somebody thinks the tree is handsome. That's a
All
funny way to
trees are
say it.
handsome.
All trees are handsome. So going to this tree, and it was interesting because before that, we both just felt we were in our whatever kind of emotional state. And so we stop, make offering to the tree, get on the scooter, keep going because we're making our way into nature. And I noticed, I was like, I feel a little different. Felt that felt really nice to make that offering. It just happened naturally. The feeling of like, wow, that felt really nice. And then go, and there's a stream, and the contemplator is saying, oh, it'd be nice to offer a coin to that stream. And so I was saying to my friend, do you have a coin? She said, I have a coin. And so there's the stream, and I'm, saying something, because what they've taught me also is, they say the way is as important as the thing. So the way we make the offering is as important as the thing that we're offering. And so I'm like connecting with my heart and saying thank you so much to the, to the spirits of the water. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here. And so make the offering of the coin to the stream, and then continue on, and it would continue like that. Oh, it will be nice to offer rice here. And as we continued, I just noticed, I was like, the joy just continued to grow and grow and grow. And I was like, oh my God, I feel so happy. And then, oh my God, I love this. It was like that. And she was like, oh my God, I feel so happy too. And then we get to this particular place. There was a river, and that we could walk across. It was shallow enough that we could walk across up to our knees. And we had honey. And they said, it will be nice to offer river or honey to this river. So I'm offering honey to the river and saying, thank you so much for letting us be here. You are so beautiful. And then crossing the river. And by that point, I was really, really in the energy with the spiritual dimensions and feeling amazing. And then get on the other side. And I noticed, I was like, there were these three coins that it looked like they were glowing. They just out of nowhere, one, two, three, these three coins. And I got so excited because I could feel this kind of glow that felt like those are magical coins. And I was like, ah, where with the magic? And so I pick up the coins and I'm like connecting with the consulting. They're like, take these coins, and I was like, wow, we're with the magic. This is amazing. I could feel it. And I was like, oh my God, this feels so good. And then my friend that I was with, she is naturally so loving. And it was this one tree that it was like one, two, three. It's something felt really unique about this particular tree. Again, she sits down and she makes an offering, and I could just feel the way we were being received by the natural world. And it just continued. It wasn't like simply it would be enough to be communing in love with the natural world, but there were these qualities, these energies that just continued to grow. And fifth dimension, yeah, for sure. And some, I don't know what else, some beautiful, beautiful energies that we had entered into. How? And it wasn't even like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to get this. It was simply just that pure way of just trusting and following, and little simple offerings just made from a pure heart. And by the time we left, we were like, this is amazing. Just like that. And so that's something that they've been teaching me. They've been teaching me about offerings through the years, and it feels, I feel in my heart experience of it, I feel that it is very, very connected to the quality of abundance. And I believe that we are naturally generous beings. And when I was in nature, they were saying, it's a process of us remembering our true nature, that we are nature. And then when
Yeah,
I'm in nature and I observe nature, I see extraordinary generosity. The river is giving so generously, and the trees are giving oxygen. Everything is giving so generously. And so going in there, it's like, it doesn't feel like there's anything being taken from me. It feels like it's simply remembering our true nature, our true human design. That's what I believe.
yeah, beautiful. I just love the way that whole journey went. It's
Thank
just
you.
like, oh my God, that is so amazing.
Oh, thank you.
And I think sometimes we forget about offerings.
Right.
Our ancestors did it all the time, but it's something, I try to remember, but there are times when I forget. I mean, if I approach a tree, I'll
Absolutely.
always ask the tree and I'll thank it afterwards, and maybe offer it some water. But sometimes you're just so busy that you forget.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what you're saying too about the ancestors too. I mean, when I've shared this through the years, it's especially a lot of times, it's especially with the ancestors, when people start their practice of making offerings with their ancestors, and they'll say, well, what do I offer them? And say, well, what did they love? You know, what did they love? And if they're ones that you knew from when they were alive too, it's like, what was their favorite food? My dad likes sushi.
Ah,
Like everybody, and if it's offering them that it's just like, what we all have things that we love. And that very thing that will light your heart up is unique to you, just like what we're talking about, that unique thing. And for me, what that little thing is, and it can be a little thing, but it's like that little thing that you love. And that little thing, it's just like the key to open up like a greater wellspring of love or something like that. And they just feel so, I feel like they love to be remembered like that, and to be remembered in such a way that it's like they haven't gone anywhere, they're here with us. And it feeds that connection, and it feeds that love, and also protection, that protection that they give us. And it feeds, I always see it like that figure eight, that infinity sign, that when we connect to the higher realms, I always see when I go into meditation. So I see that infinity sign, and when I feel that when they show me about offerings too, this is what I experience. They say, we make offerings to them and it helps to grow that current. And they send this like stronger current to us, and this current continues to grow stronger and stronger and stronger.
Yeah. Yeah, I really felt that as you were saying that. That was like, I like it. Yeah, I like it. I like it. You probably saw me start swaying because I,
uh,
I I
you
love
have
the
a
infinity symbol anyway. So
oh yeah, yeah, you're so strong connected with the spirit world.
yeah. So how do you normally help people? What do they come to you for? How do
Mhm.
you work with them?
Yeah, that changes. It changes according to, I guess. So I have a school. I would say like a heart. Well, I say on the website it's a heart-centered shamanic school. I say that it, because people practice from different places, and the heart to me is very important. To distinguish that it is, we're connecting through the heart. And but so I say there's different ways because they kind of it I receive different assignments from them. So recently in the past few years they've had me really connecting with the cosmic mother and kind of remembering these galactic connections, which all of it, as you mentioned, it all ends up weaving into maybe the same world tree, or the same tree that's connecting the heavens and the earth. But right now, our current offering, well, soon we do have an offerings series that's happening in later September. And every once in a while, I'll do one-on-one contemplative divinations, but usually more often it's in like community ceremonies and things like that. And right now, yeah, we're kind of like working on some creations for coming into next year. So right now I'm in a big kind of like feel like creation phase of these visions that they're giving, and it feels like maybe as above so below, that it's connected to the shifts that are happening in the cosmos or something like that. And so to reflect that, uh, like they brought in this language the other day, daughters of the Milky Way. And so that's what I'm experiencing with them. Is at first maybe I felt like daughter of the earth, and then it shifts daughter of the Milky Way. And so, as we're kind of shifting into this maybe universal consciousness, and this kind of thing. So I'm in that kind of, I guess you could say in a way, kind of like training. I'm
Yeah.
like, wait, what's a light body? Wait, what is this? Some people that were talking about ascension for 20 years or something, I was not doing that. I didn't know. I was like, wow, some people were really on it with this whole ascension thing.
Yeah, but then I think everyone comes to it when their time is right, and you
Mm,
obviously need to have all, explore that earth, that groundedness, so that
mm,
when you go into these higher dimensions, you're still grounded, bringing that down
mm.
here. Whereas if you were to go straight into them, you might not be able to incorporate into everyday life.
That's a good point. Yeah,
Um,
that's a really
and
good point.
and that because we have to, because I think we have to remember we have to be grounded because
Right.
we are in a human body on this earth at the moment, and and we can be in that other dimensional, well, whatever dimension it is, but we still have to be able to bring that back on here onto earth, so we need
Yeah.
that grounding to the energies, to the ancestors here on earth, to bring that
Absolutely.
information out.
Yeah, 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 and that's been a work in progress. Like, okay, 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 I'll ground.
Yeah, yeah, it's one of the most easiest, but one of the things that we always forget. I think most people that
Yeah.
know me always will go, "Oh God, you always say ground." I know. Oh, it's a tree in a previous lifetime. Of course, I'm gonna
Were
say
you? I was
grounded.
totally feeling the tree energy with you so much. Okay, that's earlier when we were connecting, I was like, oh, I was trying to understand that connection I was feeling with you with the tree. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, totally. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's yeah, hence why I obviously like trees so much. But that takes us very nicely onto, as you know, I do guided meditations and angel oracle card readings, and each week I like to ask my guests whether they would like me to do a mini guided meditation or pull an oracle card for themselves and those watching. So, Liv, what would you like me to do?
Oracle card, pretty please.
I have them in my hand as we speak.
That felt really exciting.
I really don't have a deck of cards, an oracle deck with me somewhere along the line of various different ones. So when I do readings, I don't actually do the readings to predict the future. I do the readings for what we need to know for our highest good at this moment in time. Because although I work with the past and past life and things, when I take people back to the past, it's to learn and heal from it so it doesn't affect them in the present. And when I
Mm.
take people into the future, it's so they can learn, understand, and know the steps they need to take so they can bring that back to the present. So everything is always, what does Liv and everyone who's watching this need to know for their highest good at this moment in time? What does Liv and everyone who's watching this need to know for their highest good? Let's see which card is going to come out for us today. I love it. In the flow.
Mm.
Everything is smooth sailing,
Oh, that's beautiful.
and that's
Oh.
you know, perfect with what we've been talking about and allowing the flow to guide us along.
Ah,
So so this is sort of like confirmation for you,
no, that's
that
beautiful.
everything is in the flow, and when you're in that flow, it is smooth sailing, and and it
Mm.
will be smooth sailing for you with what you're creating and what you're doing, because
Wow.
because you have stayed in that flow and you're continuing to stay in that flow. So that is absolutely amazing that that's
I
cards come
love
out for
that.
you.
I
You know,
love that.
and for everyone watching, if you can get into that flow state, then things will move will move smoothly for you. And if you're already in that flow state, just be aware of it and just see how things just sort of like move along so easily, like you're in a boat just sailing across the river with the breeze blowing behind you, pushing you where you're going. So yeah, I love that. I love that that card's come out for you, Liv, and for
Oh,
everyone who's who's actually watching the show
that's
for that.
beautiful.
So, Liv, do you have any insights or thoughts or last words of wisdom to leave our viewers?
Yeah, I feel called to encourage everybody to trust that little voice in their heart. I feel like the outer world right now can feel so loud, and so can feel chaotic, and I know people are kind of experiencing all kinds of emotions. It can feel so compelling to get drawn into it in a way that can be all kinds of ways. And I feel like if 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 everyone can even just attune to their inner heart, even just for 5 minutes or something, just for a really short time, and listen, and just kind of like, sometimes spirit says, know what you know to be true, like to let themselves know what they know to be true, to trust and to know that is that we all carry our own kind of inner voice and inner truth, and it doesn't need to be anybody else's truth, and it doesn't need to be endorsed by anybody else. It can just simply be true, that we can know that for ourselves, and give ourselves that. And in that kind of what can seem like a little voice that can connect us with the divine. The light just came out right when I was feeling the divine. That's nice. Connect us with the divine.
Yeah, absolutely, beautiful, and and a good reminder for us, to also unplug from the outside world, and just go within, so we can go in that flow state. So thank you so much for that reminder. That was very, very
Thank you so much.
wonderful. So I hope everyone that you've enjoyed this conversation and found it insightful, because I know I definitely have.
Hmm.
So, Liv, if people want to connect with you, how do they do that? And I think you mentioned about something you've got coming up in September.
Yeah, yeah. So they can go to my website, which is Earth's Amulet, like Earth with S at the end, earthsamulet.com. And then I do have a 2 day offerings ceremonial class, you could say. Also, will be like a contemplate ceremony at the end of September. And yeah, if they go to the website, and then there's a tab that says current offerings, and then those will say what's available currently for our school. And yeah, that's the best way to reach me right now. And then so they can send us an email, or they can sign up for the newsletter through the website.
Yeah, beautiful. And I will put the direct link to Liv's website in the comments once the show's finished. And can people get your books on most platforms?
Like yeah, yeah, that's true. They can get my book through Amazon. So if they go to the website, there's a tab, I think, that so it's the it'll link to the book, and then where they can get the book. But yeah, thank you. They can get the book through the website, right?
Excellent.
Sometimes I forget I wrote a book. The Contumely convinced me to do that.
That's brilliant that obviously they wanted to get their information out there, and you
True.
helped get that information out there, and obviously you're working on a book at the moment.
I am. That's true. Yeah, yeah. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, no, that'll be amazing, when it comes out.
Thank you.
Um, oh no, you're welcome. So, if anyone watching, you are ready to remember your divine presence and step onto your spiritual multidimensional path, but maybe you feel lost, confused, stuck, or alone, then please feel free to reach out and connect with me, and we can arrange a free 20-minute clarity video call to see where you are now and how you can move forward to take charge of your destiny, so that you can spread your wings and soar. And of course, you can receive a free gift of a Connect with Your Guides and Angels PDF, or a Future Life Progression recording, as well as a couple of other free gifts if you want to sign up to my email list. And again, thank you everyone so much for watching. And I'd like to invite you to share this video, as I'm sure there are more people who feel lost and want to get clear on their destiny just like you. And the wisdom that Liv has provided today would possibly help them on their journey. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, then please do feel free to subscribe and hit that bell button to be notified when the show goes live, or I post new guided meditations, because every single time you like, comment, share, subscribe to anything I offer, anything my guests offer, any of our social media, it really helps with the algorithms and helps us get our messages out there to other people, and you can be part of that web of helping people remember their divine presence and take charge of their destiny. And of course, I look forward to seeing you all same time, same place next week. Take care, everyone. Bye.